Good morning, everyone. You're all very welcome. This is the fourth webinar in our current series, the fourth and last one for now. For anyone who, I know some of you have attended some of the other events. If anyone missed them and would like to watch them, they were all recorded, as will today's be as well, and they're available on the Three Counties YouTube channel, so you can check them out there. And yeah, just a reminder to everyone that we are recording today's event. The way we'll run it, just to make sure that there's good sound quality and that you can all hear the information that Therese has, we're going to ask that everyone just stay on mute. I know some of you will have questions for Therese, so what I'll get you to do is to just type them into the chat function of Zoom. And what I'll do is I'll gather up all the questions and I'll put them to Therese then just at the end. Therese is the Community Development Social Enterprise Officer with Kilkenny Leader Partnership. Therese is also the SEC mentor for Kilkenny County. The talk that Therese is going to be giving today is a really interesting one. I think it's really worthwhile and valuable one, and lots of really good information that I think communities are looking for at the moment. So it'll be the 6 pillars of fundraising. And in addition to Therese talking through all of this and all her experience, there is a guest speaker, Roisin Mulligan from Clan Credo. She's going to talk to you about match funding loans. And Roisin will be able to answer questions for you at the end as well. So that's it for now. I'll hand you over to Therese.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I hope you find this webinar interesting. It's basically fundraising tips and ideas on what communities can do in order to get funding for their projects. It could be any project. We're concentrating on energy projects today, but it could be any community project. So I'm starting off the presentation and I'm going to discuss the 6 pillars of fundraising. Today's agenda is we'll be going through grants, crowdfunding, special events, community fundraising, which I'm sure everybody anybody who works in the community sector probably knows a little bit about. We're going to also touch on sponsorship and also match funding loans and what we can do with them. So the trick is to be creative and to use more than one pillar when you're trying to raise funds and to make so the idea is that if you were hosting an event, don't just have the event. Set up a stand. You might decide that you would be doing things like whereupon you could be selling items to support your group, or you could be doing other inventive little ideas whereupon you could just be doing getting people to subscribe, or you could be getting people to subscribe to your next event. So in other words, don't just use one type of fundraising pillar as such. So, okay, so starting off with grants. Now, a grant is a financial donation given to a person or an organization. Now, there's pros and cons about grants. The pros are that once you get a grant, you most likely will receive another grant, okay? There's different bodies that you can actually get. In Ireland, the main bodies that give out grants is the local county councils. Or you can also go to community foundations like the Lotto Fund. And as I say, the pros are that once you actually have gone through the grant application process and you've received one grant, you most likely will get another grant. Receiving grants it's a great way of building good visibility and credibility for your group. The cons about grants is you need experience in writing a grant application. depending on what organisation that you're going into to try and get funds from, there's different ways they like their applications filled in. So that can take that can take a little bit of experience, or you may be able to get help. That's one of the things that I do as community development officer. I do help people with their grants when applications. So you can always go to your local community development officer and look for support on things like that. Normally with grants, there are strings attached. So depending on what funder you go to, they will normally have some sort of conditions and will have, so if you take something like the County Council grants, you could go for something like an amenity grant or an enhancement grant, but there'll be only certain categories that that grant will be paid out for, and there'll be, and some, you can't do exactly anything that you want with the funding. The other thing, grants are short term, you know, so it's a once-off payment, and when the funding runs out, you're going to have to start all over again and apply. They normally come out once a year. The ideal place to look for information on grants in Ireland is the Wheel and the Community Foundation Ireland. Sorry about this. So I have, on the slide you have, they actually have advice on all the grants that are out. And also they have the dates of when to apply. So that's the Wheels website, and it's very, very informative. And the other one would be the Community Foundation for Ireland. And as I say, you even find out, that's the late, I took that off their website yesterday, and as you can see, there is funds there for RTE comic relief, and also the COVID-19 response fund. So they're two very, very useful sites in which to pick up the information from. Another way to actually, and it's one that people tend to shy away from, is crowdfunding. Now, crowdfunding is, it's to raise money for your cause. There are platforms out there that you can use, like GoFundMe or Indiegogo and Fundly. Now, GoFundMe and Fundly have great tips on how to get started. And with crowdfunding, you know, there is a donation-based crowdfunding, whereupon you don't, people don't expect to get anything in return. And that's, it's probably one of the most common, but you need to be able to tell a good story when you're setting up your crowdfunding application. So, as you can see, this is the GoFundMe page, and it's free. They have the tips there. They'll tell you exactly what you need to do. And also on Fundly's website, again, very, very simple, very straightforward, just follow along, and a lot easier than people think to set up a crowdfunding page. And the big thing about when you've set up a crowdfunding page on one of these platforms is to share the information out. So share the information out to your friends, your family on social media. They can be your biggest champions, and for these kind of funding events. Another way to actually raise funds is special events. Now, a special event is, you know, most people would know, like maybe a gala dinner or a ball or something like that, whereupon you might have raffles or auctions at it. Now, the pro of a special event is that it attracts new support, it raises your group's visibility, brings diverse groups together, and unites people in common goals. Now, the cons on the special events is they're time consuming, they take planning, and you need organizational skills. They can be ruined by weather. We all know the Irish weather. You could have a competing event on at a similar time, and things can go beyond your control, just like our COVID-19. Money raised at the event may not justify the time involved in the event. But I decided that I'd have a look out there just to give you some ideas of different types of events that you could actually run if you are all energetic and brave enough. So there's a funding company called Fundraising Events.ie. And this is just an example of some of they do themed nights. And this is just some of their examples. And roughly, as you can see here, that if they have things like, if you take a race night, that your potential return for that event. Now they do everything for you. You don't have to do anything. They can just come in and help. And if we take an example for like a race night, it can be, you can easily raise from 2,500 to 10,000, depending. This company will provide you with the race night film, the tote, the betting tickets, the PA, the AV, the race cards, starter promotional kit, and also a professional compare on the night. And they have very competitive packages, and you don't have to buy everything from them. So if you were to take a standard package for them, and which would be something like just for the film and the tote package, it starts at €245. If you were to bring in their MC package, it's up to 545. If you went for everything that they were doing, your whole marketing, as in the print and the design, it's 895. And then, but they'll also allow you pick and choose from different products that they have. They also host bigger events. So if you, as you can see, something like the Cube, which is based on the ITV game show, they estimate that you could raise up to 35,000 by hosting an event like that. And that's normally done by a number of heats. And they would have, you'd have to find 6 contestants to take part, and each contestant would be asked to raise a certain amount of money for, or pay a fixed fee to compete. And normally there would be some sort of prize at the end of the heats for the winners. Again, it could be a great way to get a community involved. They've also bigger events whereupon things like Strictly Come Dancing and Lip Sync Legends. Again, these events can earn you a revenue of about 50,000. And the whole idea is you have 12 to 16 contestants. They practice for 4 to 6 weeks, then they come back. They set up, the company sets up all the staging and the lighting and everything. So to do with the production, so you just don't actually have to do this yourself. And that's just one way. Now I know because of COVID-19, a lot of these activities are restricted, but hopefully going forward in the future that maybe we could possibly, your groups could think of hosting events like this. But if you, events like this. Another interesting way, and particularly if you're looking to do to get sponsorship, is to do challenge events. And this is run by a company called Adventure.ie, who are based in Glendalough in the Wicklow Mountains. And they actually found that they started off running outdoor activities and training courses, but their business evolved into actually providing challenge events. And as you can see, there's some I only took the ones that were relating to Ireland because of COVID-19, but they do events abroad as well. But you have some very, very interesting events here. And when when I spoke to different people about these events, the 2 that came to mind was the jailbreak team event. People were definitely interested in this. And as you can see, for 2.5 hours, it's €60 per person plus VAT. You can go to either Wicklow Town or Cork City. And you can have a maximum number of people competing in this event of 100 people or a minimum of 20. So like it's not that expensive. Or another great one is the 24-hour survival challenge, which again, it's 150 per person plus VAT, and they take up to a maximum of 30. Now, the one I thought was absolutely fascinating, but it's quite expensive, is the Croke Park Abseil Challenge. And it's the venue hire that is really expensive here. It's 2,500 to 3,000 for the venue hire. But you can have a maximum of 100 people to actually, you know, maybe to attend an event like this and get in sponsorship and raise funds for your project. And it just might be a novel way to actually to get people engaged in a community project. And just some more fundraising ideas. So I took these ideas off the Oxfam Ireland site, and they have the A to Z of ideas for of different fundraising. And one of the first ones that they came up with was about, you know, auction off a friend. So if you had some enthusiastic friend or who had a skill, you know, you can do human auction as such, which could be a bit of fun and a bit of crack, and people could get jobs done. Other simple ideas is to bring a book sale. Very easy, you know, collect up books, price them up. You could sell them. You could even be selling them in a workplace environment, or you could be selling them in schools. Cuppa and cake mornings always go down very, very well, and they're great for fun. And dress down days, and so you can possibly make an arrangement with workplace, or you might be within the school. And other ideas is for fundraising ideas are employers matched giving. Some employers will actually match funds raised within an organization. So that may be part of your employer's policy, and they may match any funds that you run. Fun runs are always great. The famous head shaves, but you've a limited opportunity there because people only have so much hair. Other ones are payday breakfast, whereupon you could treat your colleagues to a scrumptious breakfast, and you could ask for donations from local shops or suppliers, get them to donate the food or discount the food to you. Other interesting ideas would be an update with a swap sale. And this is where, you know, people would bring, if you want to revamp your wardrobe, they would bring items of clothing, and in order to swap and get another item of clothing, the guest would pay a small fee. And again, you can, it also, you know, you get your funds in a nice, fun way. Competitions always work very, very well in raising funds. And I suppose in a lot of communities, split the pot would be a common activity, whereupon you sell tickets, and 50% of the pot goes to your community group, and 50% then is split out between the winners. So it might be first, second and third. And it's normally what people do is they put €2 into an envelope, and they link it to a number of outlets like your local news agents, your supermarkets, hairdressers, whereupon people can actually pick up the envelopes, and they're collected, and that works very, very well for communities. And you can easily be, depending on how active you are, you can easily be earning like 300 to 500 euros per week for your community. And that all adds up when you're trying to get funds for match funding when you're trying to support bigger projects. There's also, given we're talking about COVID-19 and we're kind of limited with the activities we can do at the moment, there is a communityauctions.com site, And you could basically, it'd be kind of like you're going to have a jumble sale where you can collect items from the community, from different people in the community. You can post them up on this site and they will pay you back 25 of the proceeds that are auctioned. So there's a number of different inventive ways that you can actually raise funds. You can also do static collections. Now Tesco's, it's so simple to do. Like I literally just have to sign up for this, and some of you may have seen the tokens, whereupon people put the token in, and after 8 weeks, the tokens are counted, and then €1,000 divided out between 3 causes. And it's such a simple way to actually to raise funds. And I know from talking to other groups that like you could easily earn again about €500 by doing, if not more, from just a simple little thing of just signing up and joining something like the Tesco Community Fund. Public collections, well, Garda permits are required if you're outside. And so like if you're outside a church gate, you're going to need to get a Garda permit. However, though, if you're inside the building, as long as you have the permission of the person whereupon you're actually fundraising, you don't require the permit. And that's just something like, you know, that people can look into. So your local church may allow you put out a bucket or a sealed bucket or something like for a collection, or some shops may also consent to allow you to put a collection box inside their premises. So, and again, a very simple way to collect funds. Sponsorship. The key to sponsorship is to really give the business that you're looking to sponsor you. You need to kind of hit their targets. So most businesses get involved in sponsorship because they're looking to get involved with a specific audience. They want to make marketing and value raising awareness of their brand, or they're following their corporate social responsibility. Now, in-kind sponsorship, which can be in the form of, it might be prizes, it could be their employees' time. Some companies, corporate companies, have a policy whereupon when they're Salesforce being one of them, whereupon 1% of their employees' time, it's part of their employment contract, has to be given back to some voluntary or charitable organisation. So, as I say, those kind of things can be very, very useful. But also the simple things like just the likes of the Tidy Towns. They might give you promotional mugs, high-vis jackets and things like that. And often if you contact their marketing departments, they will send these items out to you free of charge, just to promote their business. And all of that can help you when you're actually running your fundraising event. And now I'm going to ask for Roisin to tell us a little bit about match funding loans from Clan Credo.
Okay, thanks, Therese. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah. So I'm Roisin, and thank you very much, Therese, for the invitation on today to speak about the match funding loans that we offer for our what we call our climate action projects, which covers really anything from a renewable energy project to retrofitting to you know, anything related to sustainability. And so I'm the social finance executive for the South East. I deal with Wexford, Wicklow, Kilkenny, Carlow, and any of those counties. I'm based in Wicklow myself. So for anybody who doesn't know who Clan Credo are, we're a non-profit group specifically dealing in loans for community groups, social enterprises, sports clubs, other non-profit groups effectively. And we have a specific climate action loan fund. I think it's a 10 million loan fund for these types of projects. And our board, we have a voluntary board, and they're particularly interested at the moment in trying to support these types of projects. So the aim of the game for me today really is just to encourage anybody who is thinking about these projects to come and have a chat with us and see how we can help you to achieve what you're trying to achieve. These types of projects are often suited to loan finance because there's either an income generation from the electricity generated in a renewable energy project, or there's a saving on energy bills for retrofitting or other energy saving projects. So you can get the benefit of putting the investment in place, and then you can spread the cost of it over a period of time and repay the loan. And so we think that there's a section of projects that are potentially just in the ideas stage at this stage that could get off the ground a little bit more quickly with the aid of loan finance. I'll give you, just to give you a flavour of some of the projects that we've been involved with over the last number of years, because we're an enabler, but it's really nice to see some of these projects come into fruition and what they actually can achieve with the help of a mixture, as Therese says, a mixture of grant funds, maybe a bit of fundraising, some crowdfunding maybe, and mixed in with a bit of loan finance in there as well. So the first project is Strandhill Celtic, and they're a football club based in Sligo, and you have it there. And so this is just recently completed, probably one of the more recent projects that has this type of component that we've done. This was a part of a larger project that involved an eco park, and they had some really interesting different bits to the eco park, but the bit that I was particularly interested in here was the solar panels. So they had a mixture then. They had, I think, leader grants, and they also got sports capital because they're a sports club, and then they mixed in with some of their own funds, and we provided a term loan for the soccer club to help finance this. So it is doable. It's on the roof of the clubhouse, and really this is it's a good example of something that it doesn't have to be a massive scale of a project, but it does make a massive difference to how the club operates. The solar panels, because they have a clubhouse with lights and heating and stuff like that, they will be able to spread the cost of that investment over a period of time, but the solar panels will enable them to reduce their energy bills significantly on the clubhouse. So it really did make sense. It was a great project, and we were really delighted to support it. If you don't mind, Therese, I dug out a couple of other projects there this morning, and I'll just mention them very briefly. Another one, and this was a project that I worked with a number of years ago, but in 2019, Moneygall Community Development Association in Offaly, they've done a whole heap of projects, and I would thoroughly recommend a visit actually. They did a solar powered street lighting project, and that was to light up a walkway, a community walkway that they produced so that it would be available for use in the winter. And again, this project now was a good mix of different types of funding. They got leader funding. I think they got some funding from Offaly County Council, and then they had saved up some of their own funds for the match funding portion of the project. They had previously borrowed from us for a term loan, and we did provide bridging finance against the leader grant so that they could pay for the works pending the drawdown of the leader grant in this project. But because they had such a successful crowdfunding campaign on this one, they didn't need any term loan finance from us. And it's worth having a look at that one. Actually, it was, I have the name here, it's a Light It Up campaign. And again, just really garnered the whole community into, you know, I think it was you purchased a light or you purchased a lamppost or something like that, and it just got everybody involved, and they managed to raise the match funding for that. So that's another one that we were involved in. Just two other very briefly, these were community centre upgrades. So the Cordulph and Rafera Community Association in Monaghan did solar panels as part of their community centre upgrade. And then Lettermullen Community Centre, now this was a couple of years ago, I think, they participated in the Better Energy Communities programme. So that was an SEAI grant, and it funded 50% of the retrofitting works to the community centre. And we provided a term loan to help them with that. And again, it made sense for them to borrow part of the costs of that, because the energy savings that they achieved over a number of years helped them to make the loan repayments. So it wasn't just a matter of making loan repayments, they were saving on their energy bills, and that part financed the loan repayments over the period. So that one was a really nice project, and it just fit together really, really well. Just in relation to the loans, the cost of the loans, first of all, is anywhere between 4.95% and 6.75%, depending on the type of loan that you're looking for and the length of time that you need it over. You can see there, there's both term loans, and then there's the bridging loans, and it just depends on the type of loan that you're looking for. The key thing really in dealing with Clan Credo is that you're dealing with a group that, you know, is volunteer led as well. So we have voluntary board of directors. We operate on a not-for-profit basis. We're a registered charity. So all of the profits that we generate are reinvested back into Clan Credo in order to make sure that we can deliver loans on reasonable terms and conditions to community groups. The other key thing to remember is that the loan is to the community group. We don't, as a matter of policy, ask for personal guarantees on any of our loans. We think that volunteers are putting enough of their time and energy into their community and shouldn't be asked to be putting their personal assets on the line whenever they're taking out a loan on behalf of their community group. And the other just final thing that I will mention is that there's no penalties for early repayment on any of our loans. So if you have a very successful fundraiser and you manage to generate a little bit more than you expected, you can knock off a few thousand off your loan, and there's no penalty for doing that at any stage, and we would encourage groups to do that. So it's really, the message is, come and have a chat to us. We're here, even if it's very early stages. You don't necessarily have to have a fully formed concept to come and have a chat to us. We will help you to put that together and to make it work. So thanks again, Therese.
Great. Nearly finished. I'm just to give you some other areas where you can actually get loans at reasonable rates, and that also link into the SEAI grant program. So you can go to your local post office. They are running green loans, and they're at for loans for over 20,000, and they have a very good APR rate of 4.9%. You can also, there's green loans, believe it or not, from the credit union. Now, in terms of getting data on this, it varied from credit union to credit union. So the best I could ascertain was that, based on data from last year, that their APR rate is from 5.11% to 12%. But you can shop around on that one. But I know Kilkenny, the credit union Kilkenny was given very good interest rates last month. So it's another one to check out. And then finally, believe it or not, your local bank, they are doing green home improvement loans. So if anybody is looking to, and they link in with the SEAI grant. So as you can see, They are if you want to do solar panels, wall installations, boiler upgrade, doors and windows replacements. And as I say, it also links in to the SEAI grant. And at the moment, the Bank of Ireland are giving out an APR of 6.5%, and the amount is from 2,000 to 65,000. So there are just a few options whereupon you can actually look for to get funding, particularly if you're in getting funds from the likes of like one of the county council grants, or like the town and village, or a leader funding, and you have to make up 25%. These can be just interesting ways to actually explore to try and make up that funds. And thank you for listening.
Great, thanks for that. That was great, Therese and Roisin. Loads and loads of information there for everyone, I think, to get their head around and to start reading through. We all know as mentors, it's difficult to get projects off the ground, and the biggest challenge is usually the funding piece. So the more ideas, the better. And I would really encourage you to speak to your mentors and just to talk things through with them when you're trying to figure out next steps. So we do have a few questions from the group, Therese and Roisin. So first one is, do you know how much fundraising events typically charge? So what would be a typical charge you would see?
It depends what type of event you're hosting, like and the volume of people that you're going to have. So we know, like that some gala events, they might charge €1,000 for a table, and that could be then. Well, it would have to be 6 now with the COVID-19, but that could be, you know, that could be a table of 6, or it could be 10, or it could be a table of 10 in the past. Other events could be like, if you're going to have a large crowded event, you could always bring the amount down lower, because you know, because you're going to be making the money on volume as such. So it really depends on the type of event that you're actually trying to raise as to what you would actually charge. You know, you'd be trying to put on some sort of calculation that you would be hopefully getting at least 25% of whatever the cost is, you know, or if not more. So you'd be trying to be getting something between 25 to, you can get 50% of, you know, what it's going to cost of your overheads, is on top of your overheads as such, you know.
Okay, so it's case by case, really, looking at how much the event is going to cost. Okay. And then looking at the fundraising activities, would you recommend, so if you're fundraising for something quite specific, a project, is it better to group fundraising activities and have them one after the other, or spacing them out? Do people get tired if there's too many things going on, or what would you recommend?
I find that if by spacing them out, you can build anticipation. Okay. And a little bit of excitement around things. And the idea of that, if you are hosting an event and you have a stand or a stall there, and you can advertise your next event and get people to sign up for that event, you might, you know, it's a great way of keeping the project moving forward. If things come together too quickly, people it can be information overload, and people can get tired, you know. So that's what I've found anyway so far.
Okay, no, that sounds great. And I guess at each of the events, it's an opportunity as well to engage with your community about the SEC program and chat to them about it and let them know what's happening and get them interested and excited about that as well.
I think if you're doing events, I think you need to do mix of events like that, not always do the same thing over and over again. Okay. A little bit of variety. It also broadens your audience and helps, you know, to get your message out there, and you can bring in new support to support your project as such.
Okay, great. The next question, and I think you mentioned something about this. Do the leader groups, do they offer advice or workshops on completing grant applications? Some of them can be quite comprehensive, and there's a bit of an art, I think, sometimes to completing applications.
You'll be assigned a development officer who will give you, and there is an information pack that will help you go through to fill in the application. And some of the county council have very good information booklets on how to actually fill in their grant applications as well. You can, as I say, I work with groups that if they make a draft of the application, we can go through it and just make sure that they're covering all the bases. Oftentimes we find that when people are putting applications together, they don't think of all the costs. They think of the initial costs, but they don't realize that you may have other costs in terms of, you might have to promote your project. You might have administration costs that, that have to be taken into account. And they, like all the overheads that you need to put into the project, need to be factored in. Some may not be covered by the grant that you're going for. And that's where you need to look down through to see what, like, is a very interesting thing which I found is in Kilkenny insurance with the Kilkenny County Council is one item that won't be paid for, but in Waterford it is.
Okay.
So like it's individual. Each county is different.
Okay. And actually someone has just put up a message, just in case it's helpful to anyone else, that the PPNs also offer help with
They do, yeah.
Yeah, so I think there's lots of great resources out there, and so much of it has been covered today. I have another question here, and this is for Roisin. So just being eligible for the community climate action loans, just wondering, for a community, how much information do they need to have together before they would approach you in terms of applying for this grant or for the loan?
I mean, you don't have to have an awful lot. A lot of projects would take a number of years before they actually come to a stage where they're drawing down a loan with us. So, the earlier the better, because we can begin to guide you. You really don't have to have a whole lot of information ready. If you just want to have an initial chat, pick up the phone and talk to us about the kind of things that you want to achieve, and we may be able to give you some tips on that. If you have, other grant applications completed, you can fire them on, and we would often be able to use a grant application as the basis for our loan application, because we'd be asking a lot of the same stuff about the impact of the project on the community, and how much it's going to cost and stuff like that. So there's no lower limit to what you need to have done, and we will guide you through the rest of it.
Great. So like people could even come when they're just at idea stage. I wonder, would people maybe feel that they have to have a lovely packaged product or proposal kind of ready to go, but idea stage is okay?
Absolutely fine.
And it's good to actually talk out a project with somebody, because it gives you a feel for the actual amount of finance that you might need to be prepared to get to fund the project. It actually it really does help, and it even helps when before you go to the writing applications, looking for grants from the council or from a local development company.
Okay, that's great, because actually I suppose something we'd have all come across is within SEC groups that there'll be certain skill sets within the group, but if you don't have anyone with much of a financial background in it, they may feel that they're a little bit intimidated by it all. So by being able to go and speak to their leader group or the PPN or Clan Credo, that there's people there with lots of experience of grant applications and loans, will be able to steer them in the right direction. So it's another way of bringing a skill into your group that you may not have.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, excellent. So I think that's all the questions that we have for today. So thanks again, Roisin and Therese. There was loads of information there. And again, I know I said it at the beginning, but we did record today's webinar. I think it's well worth listening back, because there was a lot of information in it. They're all available on the Three Counties YouTube channel. There will be a feedback form going out. And what we'd love to know is, as communities, particularly in the challenging times that we're in, is there anything that we can be doing that will support you in any way? So any feedback, ideas, suggestions on other webinars that we could run that you think would be beneficial, we'd love to hear from you. And thanks again for attending today, and thanks Therese and Roisin, and yeah, take care. Hopefully we'll hear from you again soon. Bye.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.